people can't wait.
Oh, me.
Okay,
Right.
thank you. I wanted to say exactly what Deborah said, but let me add a little spin to this. Now, I live in Staten Island, and I live in the most middle class, white, suburban, Republican area in this city. And I'm here today because I want to change that. I don't agree with what I see going on in this country, in this city, and around the world. It is not just the police department. It is not just Ray Kelly, although I'd like to see him out of that building. It is the system. And we have to take this system down. If you look around, you see behind me, there's police officers standing in the doorway laughing at us. They think it's funny that we're here. I'd like to see if one of their kids or grandkids ever got stopped and locked up for nothing. And that's basically what's happening. Now they want to strip search us. Then we have iris scans. What are they going to do next to put fear in our hearts? And I'm lucky I've never been stopped and frisked. I don't know anybody that's been stopped and frisked except my comrades here. But I think that it needs to be stopped. Period. I want Bloomberg out of office. I don't want to see this government operating the way it's been operating, not only here in New York, but everywhere in this country. It's not just us standing here today. There are other cities around the country that are mobilizing to stop what is going on. And eventually we will get there. We are the freedom fighters. We are the new resistance. And we have to keep going. As difficult as it may seem sometimes to keep it up, I know I get tired of it myself, but then I think about my brothers and sisters in the inner cities who suffer, who can't even go out of their apartment buildings. When I was in Queens, locked up there, I met women. They were in their bathrobes and slippers and pajamas because all they did was walk off on the stoop to have a cigarette, and the police asked them for ID. And they didn't have ID, so they arrested them. Please stay. Since when do we have to have ID to stand in front of our apartment building to smoke a cigarette? What is this turning into? Nazi Germany? Absolutely.
I know, there might be some of that.
There are the terrorist task force members, Homeland Security, and all kinds of police officers in our subway systems asking people to open up their pocketbooks, their backpacks, their bags, for no reason other than they feel like asking you. I say no. You're not going to look through my bag, whether I have something in there or not. It's not your right to do that. And the more we say no, the more they'll realize they can't get away with it anymore. So that's what we have to do. It's difficult. We're going to get locked up. We're going to spend a lot of time in these prisons. But you know what? That's the way we're going to break its back. Keep those jails overflowing, and eventually the media is going to pick it up, and people are going to say, you know what? They're right. I'm not going to allow this to happen anymore. Thank you.
Okay, and so now I want to bring up Carl Dix from the Revolutionary Communist Party, one of the persons who pulled together the Stop Mass Incarceration Network and initiated, together with Cornel West, the campaign to stop and frisk. Carl Dix.
Okay, I want to thank Noche for that introduction. I want to thank the people who have come up here to speak. You know, Luis Barrios went to jail with me in Brownsville in the campaign to stop and frisk. Deborah Sweet, Manhattan, in the campaign to stop and frisk. Let's see, Elaine, you were in Queens and Manhattan? You went a couple times. Our two MCs, Jamel and Noche, they seem to go down about every time. Every time I go to prison, they in there. Randy, I think No, actually, I've never seen him in prison. I saw Jimmy Cagney with me in prison. No, he's been down there with it too. Why did we do this? Obviously not because we like to be arrested and go to jail. And they don't give you no donuts when you go to jail. We did this because this is an outrageous injustice. Racist, illegal, unconstitutional. Yet they continue to inflict it. But we targeted stop and frisk because it's a pipeline to a horrific injustice. Mass incarceration in this country. You heard the numbers, 2.4 million people. 60% of them black or Latino. Tens of thousands of people held in conditions in prison in this country that fit the international definition of torture. Tens of thousands of people. That's the way this goes down. Then you've got millions of people who, even after they've served their sentences, paid their debts to society, are discriminated against openly, nakedly, legally. You go to get a job, you got to check the box. And if you check the box that says you've been in prison, your application probably goes into the trash can.
Yes, it does.
If you don't check the box, then they're going to say, oh, you lied, we're going to fire you for having lied about it. You can't live in public housing. You can't get a loan to go back to school and better yourself through education. They don't even let you vote. This is what goes down. What is behind this? What drives it? They tell us that the problem is that we just got to deal with these criminals out here. We got to lock them up and throw away the key. That is not the deal, sisters and brothers. They have criminalized whole sections of people, treating them as guilty until proven innocent if they can survive to prove their innocence. This is because of the very way that this capitalist system operates. Look at some of these black youth that they're lining up to go into prison. Well, this system was able to exploit their ancestors as slaves on the plantation. It was able to exploit their great-grandparents as sharecroppers on some of the same plantations. It was able to exploit their grandparents as workers in the factories around this country. But those factories have been shipped overseas, where they can work people for much less money and much worse conditions than they could do here. So they have no future for this generation of youth. Their response to that has been wars on drugs, wars on crimes, which are wars that target black people, Latino people, oppressed people, poor people. That's who ends up in prison. That's what this is all about. Mass incarceration plus silence equals genocide. Now, when I say that, I'm not just trying to come up with something to scare people, to make them think this is a big problem, because it is a big problem. Millions of people caught up in the criminal justice system. Millions of people with no future, but in and out of prison. Death at a young age. Poverty and brutality. That's what we're talking about. That is what we're standing up against. That's what we're standing up here against. That's what people are standing up against in California, in Houston, in Atlanta, in Chicago, in Seattle, and probably some other places that I forgot. And this has to be the beginning of something. There's a half-page flyer going around here somewhere. You need to get a copy of that. She's got one. Get it from her. There's maybe some other people that's got it. What it's talking about is what we got to do stepping off from today. And there's a few different levels to that. One level, and look, I laid it out. I'm with the Revolutionary Communist Party. What does that mean? That means that I think this problem that we're dealing with today, mass incarceration, the targeting of black and Latino people, is something that's built into the fabric and framework of this system, along with all the other problems that people face, the subjugation of women, the wars for empire, people around the world, hundreds of millions living on the edge of starvation. The only way to get rid of this problem and all of those other problems is through making revolution and getting rid of this system once and for all. We could do that. People don't have to be putting up with this bullshit. And we in the Revolutionary Communist Party are building a movement for revolution that we encourage everybody to check out and get down with. Now, I know that everybody here ain't with revolution, but if you are with revolution, get with us and work on that. But even if you think revolution is going too far, You got to get with us to fight the injustice of mass incarceration. And I urge everybody to leave here today further organized and involved in that fight. We got some things we got to do. Y'all all know about Trayvon Martin. You know about that wannabe cop vigilante who gunned him down and got ushered through the police station in a matter of just about minutes and out the other side of the door. You know about that, and you know that the system would have just given him a pass for that had it not been for the outrage of people. But now they're telling you it's time to step back and let the system work. Well, the system had already worked. When it let him go, it was working. That's the way it always works in these kind of situations, whether it's a racist mob or a lone vigilante or a bunch of cops who brutalize and murder somebody. And we stopped it from working through our display of outrage, and we got to stay on the case for justice for Trayvon. But we got to speak to all the other Trayvons. Ray Marley Graham up in the Bronx, gunned down in front of his grandmother in his own house. And then the cops arrested his grandmother and interrogated her after they had killed her grandson. We could talk about Kenneth Harding in Oakland, who the cops shot claiming he didn't pay the $2 train fare. Execution for not paying a $2 train fare. And I could talk about so many more people, but I ain't got the time to do that. We have to be on the case around that. We have to be saying no more to that. We got to be taking these stickers, mass incarceration plus silence equals genocide, wearing them, getting other people to wear them and take that up. We got to be doing that. We have to get with a thing called the Bear Witness Project. That's a project to collect the stories of people who have been abused by the police, people who have been in jail and can talk about the conditions, people who have been discriminated against after they came out of jail. We got to do that. You got to be out on April 30th, having the backs of the people who are standing up to fight stop and frisk. Because this is a campaign. We're going forward with this. It's got to be stopped. If we're going to stand by and let them target black and Latino youth, strip them of their rights, send them on a pipeline into prison, we're not going to be able to do anything about this system. That's one level we got to work on. We got to take up this fight for justice. And for those of you who want to get with the movement for revolution, you got to get Revolution newspaper. You got to get a book called Basics by the leader of the Revolutionary Communist Party, Bob Avakian. Here is what I want to say to you. We need to leave here today on a journey going against the injustice that this society brings down. And today in particular, we're talking about mass incarceration. Let's fight together against this injustice. And let's go as far as our principles will take us. And then let's learn from each other and exchange as we carry out that fight. I think, because I went through a process like that about 40 years ago, and it led me to becoming a revolutionary and a communist. Don't put an upper lid on how far you can go. Go as far as your principles can take you. Continue to learn about why this stuff happens, why it's coming down, and what we need to do to stop it. Because we do have to stop it, sisters and brothers. I think we got to take this system down. We've got a plan and approach towards taking it down, and we've got leadership for that. Get with us, join in this fight, and let's learn from each other and go as far as this journey can take us. I want to thank you, sisters and brothers, but remember, I want to challenge you again. Get organized and involved in this fight. Get that half-page flyer. Read through the points that it lays out. I probably forgot one or two of them. Carry them out. Get with us. Get organized. Stand up and say no more to mass incarceration, and mean it and act on it. Thank you.